at episode 30, 'Tis the Season to Fall in Love. I'm Sally.
And I'm Ray.
Hi.
Oh, you're trying to really sound chirpy this morning, aren't you? I think it's a bit early.
It is. But that's okay.
I'm saying that.
People that are listening to us may not be listening to us first thing in the morning, so they don't need to hear our little...
Well, it's not first thing in the morning for me. I mean, it's 12:05.
It's quite early for me. But anyway, it's been a big weekend. How are you been doing?
Knitting, looking for Christmas presents for people who aren't actually telling me what they want. The usual in the last minute run up to Christmas, because as we're launching this, it's the Sunday, the 22nd of December. So we've got 3 days to go by my count. So hopefully everybody else is not in that last minute. Oh my God, I haven't got a present for Aunt Muriel. Not that I've got an Aunt Muriel, but you know what I mean.
I thought that was a standard name.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm finishing up some last minute stuff, and hopefully by the time we're recording this a little bit early, but hopefully by the time that this is launched, everything will have made it to the post office. But fingers crossed.
You never know with these things, though.
So anyway, it's all good. It's just busy holiday season as usual, and you do what you do. You do what you do. So,
and you just get on with it.
Press on. So, all right, today we're going to talk movies, and it's not even going to be Star Wars, although I'm very excited about that. We're going to talk Christmas movies. Yes?
We are seasonal movies, right?
Yes.
Because yours isn't quite as Christmas as mine.
No, it's not. But that's okay. That's okay. Yeah. So tell us about yours first.
Well, I am looking at that stalwart favourite. It's a movie that I actually watch with my mum every single Boxing Day, mostly because we are trying to postpone doing anything else. So we sit in our pajamas in her living room with probably about 6 cups of coffee between us and watch The Holiday. It's one of those films that I suppose in a way, I don't even look at the love story so much anymore. I look at the elements of the character development, but it is a love story in so many ways, because you've got the unrequited love, which breaks my heart. It really does. I want to kill Jasper because he is one nasty piece of work. Then you've got the woman who doesn't really think she even knows what love is, who ends up in lust, then love at first sight. Then you've got the friendship, and then you've got the friends turns to lovers. And of course, and amongst all that, you've got the cheating, the widower, the story of love that lasted until death. So it's one of those stories that has everything, I think, that makes in a way, it could be a Hallmark movie without the sex. So the Hallmark movie wouldn't have it, but this one does.
I see. That makes sense. So you love it.
Yeah.
Who's your favorite pairing in this, or what's your favorite couple, maybe?
My favorite pairing is actually Arthur and Iris. I
And
love
which couple
Arthur.
of those?
Well, that's the friendship, because Arthur is the old Hollywood guy who was a writer. He won an Oscar, and he's the one that actually says my favorite line in the film.
Which is what?
My all-time favorite line in the film, which is, and I have to find it because I did an entire essay about it last night, but it's in the movies, we have leading ladies and we have the best friend. You can tell you are a leading lady. I can tell you're a leading lady, but for some reason you're behaving like the best friend. And I think that really jerks Iris out of a lot of her self-pity, because obviously she's trying to escape from the fact that her unrequited love, who's been keeping her dangling on a line for an eternity, has just got engaged, and 5 minutes before the announcement was flirting with her. And that line says a lot to me, I think, about how we live our lives, really. I mean, quite
Mm-hmm.
often you wait around for something to happen when you should be making it happen, like Catherine Hepburn or Greta Garbo.
Mm-hmm. So, is it uplifting, do you think? I have not seen this movie. So,
You haven't seen it?
no.
Oh my God. Oh my God. I've seen it every year since it came out. I think it has got uplift. It's got a happy ending,
Mm-hmm.
which you would love.
Mm-hmm.
It has a very happy ending. Um, and it's actually one, there's only a few films that I can watch Jude Law in and not cringe, and this is one of them.
Really? Why don't you like
Yeah.
Jude Law?
It's not that I don't like him. I think that there are certain elements I find him a bit OTT. He's very, in his younger years, he was very pretty boy. And in this, he's kind of matured a little bit. There are certain elements of him that you find at the beginning a bit sleazy and maybe smarmy because he's very much, he's a widower with two young daughters.
Mm-hmm.
And he takes advantage of the weekends when his daughters are with their grandparents to get drunk and sleep with various women with no commitment because he doesn't want to share the other part of his life with anybody else.
Mm-hmm.
And you don't ever know, you find out very, very little about his deceased wife. You just
Mm-hmm.
know that he has one
Mm-hmm.
because he says he's a widower, not
Mm-hmm.
divorced. So you don't find out anything about their story or
Mm-hmm.
his past. You just find out that he lost his wife, he's got two children to raise, he's a book editor, I think,
Mm-hmm.
and he spends his spare time at the pub and then turns up on his sister's doorstep drunk, so he doesn't drive home.
Well, he doesn't sound like the worst character.
No, he's not the worst character. The worst character is Jasper.
Okay. No, but I'm saying, like, even in real life, I mean, there are worse things to be than
Oh
that.
yeah.
Because
Oh yeah, there
it sounds like he's
definitely are.
protecting his kids and all that stuff as much as he can. And so, hmm. And so, why do you recommend this movie for the holidays? Or do you?
I would recommend this movie for the holidays. I mean, it's even called The Holiday, and it is based all around Christmas. These two women, they actually learn a lot about themselves
Mm-hmm.
over the in the duration of the film. They grow. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, Amanda, who is Cameron Diaz's character, she has just kicked her boyfriend out after finding out that he was sleeping with his receptionist. But she comes from a broken home. Her parents divorced when she was about 15, and it was a sudden thing. As far as she was concerned, everything was happy, and it wasn't.
Mm-hmm.
And she's since then never been able to cry. And she opens up to Graham, that's Jude Law's character.
Mm-hmm.
There are certain elements in the film that I always find really strange, like the whole, oh, I've never been able to cry, and the, oh, I don't normally do this. Sleeping, this is Amanda's character saying, I don't normally do this. And then she invites him to bed. She shows him all her vulnerabilities up front with no qualms. She basically says to him, oh, I've been told by an ex-boyfriend I'm really bad in bed. It's like, why are you giving this complete stranger all of these tools to manipulate you with, potentially? I mean, it doesn't mean he will do, but she's
Mm-hmm.
opening herself up to him so quickly. And it does seem very, very quick. And there's also a few things I would say if you watch the film, don't do. Like open a bottle of wine in a supermarket and then drive a car.
Unwise.
Very unwise, especially on roads that you're not familiar with. Um, but then there are the other sides of it. I mean, Iris is clearly suffering from depression, and
Mm-hmm.
she's all happy one minute and she's in a new home because they
Mm-hmm.
swapped houses. She's in
Mm-hmm.
a new home, and then Jasper phones her.
Mm.
And the minute he's phoned her and she hears him, he's flirting with her on the phone, basically saying, oh, you're the only person I can trust. I want you to edit my new book. I'm having problems with it. Can I send it to you? And then he's talking to his fiance, and all of a sudden she sinks into a clear depression, closes the blinds, and goes back to sleep again. And anybody who suffers from depression knows how it can be so quick to change from, oh, everything's going really well, to just leave me alone and let me curl up in a corner
Mm,
until I'm ready to face the world again. So there are elements that I'd really say um, ring true,
mm-hmm,
and I'd recommend it mostly because of the feel good factor. There is a
mm-hmm,
very good feel factor in there.
mm-hmm.
I mean, Jack Black is playing a relatively serious but not serious role in this film. He's a romantic lead.
Oh, wow. That's funny. I'm not sure how I missed this movie. I'm not sure how I missed it. But I did. I missed it. I just slept on it.
In the UK, it's on Amazon Prime at the moment, as is Love Actually.
Okay. I
I
thought
don't know
about
if it's
doing.
on Amazon US,
I,
but
I thought about doing Love Actually, and then I thought again. I thought again after I was like, oh, I'll do Love Actually, and I was like, nah, I don't think I will.
well, there's a lot of stuff going around about Love Actually at the moment, meme-wise, isn't there?
I think so. I just
Because of the whole Andrew and the
let's
Keira
just
Knightley
not.
and Andrew Lincoln element, which is a little
Uh,
bit off.
uh, I haven't seen Love Actually in a really long time though. I think I saw it in the theater, and I've seen it a couple times since, but I haven't really seen it since then. Um,
It's on
well,
TV every Christmas over here.
well, there you go. I think it's on television here too. I just don't watch a whole lot of television,
I think it's on
which
Netflix at the moment.
I would not doubt it. I would not doubt it. So, was there anything else you wanted to say about the holiday? It sounds like a delightful film.
That's the thing. It is a lovely film. I mean, as I said, it has a happily ever after. There is a lot of character development, and Iris's story goes from her. She actually stands up to Jasper. He turns up on her doorstep
Mm-hmm.
in LA. I mean, one of the most poignant scenes is after she finds out that he's engaged to the woman he was sleeping with while he was also sleeping with Iris, and she sends him a message on the plane because he sends her a message saying, "Oh, I hear you're going to LA. Can I contact you while you're out there?"
Mm-hmm.
And she sends him a message back saying, "I want we both know I need to fall out of love with you. Would be great if you would let me try."
Mm-hmm.
Because it's almost as though his narcissist side needs her to be in love with him to
Mm-hmm.
validate him, even though he's moved on to somebody else.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So her development in moving on and actually telling him to get out and leave her alone
Mm-hmm.
is incredible.
Mm-hmm.
And it's almost as though she doesn't need the romantic side of things when they develop with Miles. That's Jack Black's character. It's
Mm-hmm.
almost as though she doesn't need it. But
Mm-hmm.
it's nice that she has it, but she doesn't need it because she's grown past the need for validation from somebody else,
Mm-hmm.
which I think is incredible. As a single woman, I think that's fantastic.
That is fantastic. That is fantastic. I would agree.
So it's a feel good film, no matter which angle you look at it from.
Mm-hmm. That's good.
And I know you did a totally different film.
I did. I actually decided to do While You Were Sleeping, which is a comedy from the mid 1990s, so it's very old. And it's more of a holiday film. And well, I'll read the storyline. Lucy's life consists of constant loneliness, that is, until she saves Peter's life. Now she is a part of his family, and with a strong heart and fate on her side, others begin to realize what a terrific person she is, especially Jack, Peter's brother. An extraordinarily true-to-life sequence of events begins to take place as Lucy and Jack become closer and learn more about each other and themselves than one would ever expect from such coincidental yet believable events. First of all, it's not actually believable.
No. When I heard the believable, I thought, what?
That having been said, it is so sweet. And Ray tried to ruin this for me, y'all.
I did not try and ruin it. I was
She
just,
did. She tried to ruin it. Don't let her tell you otherwise. She tried to ruin
I
this
did
movie for me.
apologize.
She tried to ruin this movie for me. I was like, oh, I love this movie. Da 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 da. It's so sweet. And Peter and Jack and Lucy and da da da. And she goes, well, it's really creepy when you think about it. And I was like, and there it goes. She tried to ruin it. Okay, but she did not succeed. I like this movie. You didn't get to
I know.
ruin it for me.
I never said I didn't like it. I said that there are certain elements of it, if you think about them too much, that are kind of odd.
Y'all hear this, right? Y'all hear this. She tried to ruin it. So Lucy's played by Sandra Bullock, who, of course, is a rom-com queen, especially in the mid-90s. I mean, that's just her milieu, right? She just is
Well, she'd just
rom-com.
come off Love Potion number nine, hadn't she?
I'm not
And
sure, but I mean,
Demolition Man.
but this is Sandra Bullock, and Bill Pullman plays Jack, and Peter Gallagher plays Peter, and that Peter Gallagher, he's very typecast as this character, and that's fine because it works
I
just
was so in love with him in this film.
yeah. But the thing is, she is a token taker on the subway, and every day she takes Peter's token, right? And something happens, and he falls onto the track, and she gets on the track, helps pull him back, and she goes with him to the hospital, and they wheel him off, and she says, I was gonna marry him, and someone hears it, and that's how this whole thing starts, right? That she was going to marry him, and so therefore she must be engaged to him, and his very involved family, who has missed Peter because he has like taken a step back from his family. He's just really concentrating on his career kind of stuff. They hear that and they're like, what? And they just embrace her, and rather than correcting I mean, she tries at first and then she just gives up on correcting the miscommunication, if you will. And in the involved, she meets Jack, and Jack is the older brother, and he's just so sweet, and he's very suspicious because she's clearly not Peter's type. She is much more Jack's type than Peter's type. And so this whole movie is her going from being Peter's fake fiance to Jack's actual love interest. And it is really sweet. And my favorite line in the movie is actually the title, because they asked her at the end, or Peter asks her at the end, when did you fall in love with Jack? And she said, it was while you were sleeping. And of course he's in a coma, which is a little different from sleeping, but it's just so sweet. And it ends like with New Year's and this time of rebirth and possibility and all of that stuff. And I just love this movie. And that's that. That's all I'm saying. And if you don't like it, I get it. If you don't like, well, first off, if you don't like romance, why are you here? But if you don't like that kind of thing, I get it. If you find it a little odd or a little creepy, I get that too. This movie definitely requires suspension of disbelief. But it's so darn cute. And Jack and Lucy, those characters mesh really well, and it's just cute. I like it. It makes me happy to watch it. That's all I've got to say about that.
What exactly did you love about it more than anything? Even going back to when you first saw it.
It's just that Lucy, and I think maybe because I saw when I saw it, maybe it just hit me right the first time, because it was the mid 90s.
Well, we were what?
It was the mid
Wasn't it about?
90s, and we were in our early 20s at that point, very early 20s.
Yeah.
And I remember watching it the first time, and after I graduated from college, which for you would be university,
Mm-hmm.
and I would say that I think it just hit me at the right time. That she's single and she can find true love. It's not over, right? Because where I live, the feeling was, if you haven't found the guy by the time you graduate from college, it might not be happening. And it was just, all the relatives always asking, oh, are you dating anyone special? And blah, 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 blah. And I never was, or if I was, it wasn't quite the right guy or whatever. And so this movie just, I think, hit right, because here's a slightly older than me, like late 20-something character who's got admittedly a dead-end job, but she can still find true love, and even in the most unexpected of places,
Mm.
right?
Well, it
Because
literally was. It came out the year we turned 21.
yeah,
So that film is 25
stop.
years old now.
Let's not. Shh, shh.
I have to be honest, but
No,
it
you
came
didn't.
out
You didn't. You didn't.
1995.
Being honest does not mean you have to do the math for
I
everybody.
didn't really
Shh.
need to do the math. I just worked out how old I was. Um, but it came out in 1995 when
Right.
she was at her peak romance career, I think.
I think so too. And
And it was also when Peter Gallagher was a hunk.
yeah. So I mean, I liked it. I think because it gave just this little touch of hope, you know. And as I said, I think you said you saw it in the theater, but I saw it afterward, and
Yeah.
I really liked. Like one of her movies that I really liked was Hope Floats with Harry Connick Jr. in it,
Hmm.
and I like that movie for other reasons as well. But this is one of those movies where it just okay. Love is out there, but it's a reminder that maybe what you think you want isn't in fact what you do want. Like she thought she wanted Peter, but it wasn't Peter. She wanted Peter's older brother, who's different, right?
But wasn't it
So
the illusion of Peter? It was the
yeah,
illusion of what he could
right. But
give her because she was alone.
yeah, but he's very, to borrow a British word, he seems very posh, right? Coming through the subway with his tie and his three-piece suit or whatever, not three-piece, but you know what I mean. He comes to, and he looks like a businessman, and she's like, oh, but it turns out that the man that's for her doesn't wear a business suit to work. He wears, denim pants and work shirts and stuff like that.
He's
And
down to earth.
right, and that turns out to be the person for him or for her, not his younger brother Peter. So it serves sort of as a reminder, a little bit of a reminder that love doesn't always look like maybe you think it's going to, but it also, it's out there. It's alive and well.
And not always living on the bookcase.
And not always living on the bookcase. In this case, it was living on the big screen, but, so that's where we are. That's why I like it.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. I mean, wasn't this was the era where she did Hope Floats, she did Practical Magic, she did
Loved both of those films.
Forces of Nature was that for her with Ben Affleck? I want to say that was her.
I don't remember that film.
I remember a scene in a cab with that film, but it's not one of the films that came out in '99, and it was Sandra Bullock and Ben Affleck.
I don't think I ever saw that movie. And I was on a Ben Affleck kick.
Yeah, Ben Affleck he was going to his wedding, and he shares a rental car with Sandra Bullock's character, trying to get to his wedding, and obviously along the way she's a force of nature and they end up falling in love when he's on his way to his wedding.
That's not great timing.
No, not the best timing, but then it seems like a lot of these films have that aspect to them. It's like, as you said, you don't always know what love is going to look like when it hits you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I watched Destination Wedding last night.
Mm-hmm.
It literally just has two characters. It's played by Keanu Reeves and Winona Ryder.
Mm-hmm.
And it is so droll, but it's very cleverly done because you see the hints of the other characters, and it has a happy ending.
Did you realize that in Dracula, their two characters were actually performing the wedding ceremony in front of like an ordained priest?
I have to admit that the only time I saw Dracula, it was in German.
Well, I'm just saying. There's an argument to be made that Winona Ryder and Keanu Reeves are actually married. Just saying.
But were they ever married to anybody else?
Oh, I don't know. There has to be a certain level of intent, I think.
And a license.
And a license and various things, but it's still funny. It's still funny. Dadgummit, it's funny.
But that is a film if you want to see something a little bit more modern and a very unusual take on romance and happy endings. That is definitely one I would recommend.
Which one is that?
Destination Wedding. It's just arrived
Destination
on
Wedding.
Netflix in the UK, and I think it's on Amazon Prime in the US.
Okay. I will think about watching that today.
It's one of
Today.
those weird films. It's not that long, but it's weird. You start off by thinking, what? They're
Mm-hmm.
both on to a wedding.
Mm-hmm.
Her ex-fiance and his brother.
Okay.
Yeah. So as I said, love finds you in unusual places,
All right.
but I would definitely, that's the thing. I mean, there are so many romantic films coming out around the holidays
Mm-hmm.
because you've got, I mean, Netflix has made a career out of it, I think.
Hallmark definitely has.
Yeah.
But you know what? Let me say this. Don't take good care of yourself. Like if you find that this movie is going to depress you, don't watch it for
Yeah,
whatever
I
reason.
agree.
Take good care of yourself. Don't depress yourself by watching these films or whatever. But if you are in the mood for those things, this time of year is a good time of year for it. That's all. And I hope that everyone is enjoying their holiday season, uh, whatever that
I
looks like for you.
I heartily agree. No matter what you're doing, make sure it's what you want to do. Don't
Yes.
feel pressured just because we're saying, oh, this is a good film, or anything, whatever anybody says. Just make sure that you're looking after yourself and
Yeah.
your well-being.
Yeah, absolutely. Because you need to make yourself a priority at this time of year, especially.
Because it's
So
stressful.
it really, really is. So, Ray, the next book pick was yours. What is it?
It is A Quick Bite by Lindsay Sands, the first in the Argenau series. And I think
Okay.
there's like 23 books in it now.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a hefty series.
Mm-hmm. 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 Yes, it is.
I was reading them back in the early 2000s when there were probably about 9 or 10 books, if that, and I've got all of them, but I haven't got the later books in the series.
Mm-hmm.
So that's A Quick Bite by Lindsay Sands.
Okay,
And
perfect.
that's what we'll be talking about in our last episode of season one, episode 31.
Sorry, I was like, what?
Our last episode of season 31, the last episode of 2019, and I had to think what year we were in for a second.
Oh my
Um,
goodness.
I know that's quite scary, isn't it?
It's craziness, but it is what it is. All right, perfect. Well, do we have anything else we need to say today?
Just keep on searching for your happily ever after.
And I'll remind you that romance isn't dead. It's alive and well on your bookshelf. Bye.
Bye. Bye.